there's been a lot of times I've been on TV shows that you're with a guest that's kind of cool or kind of, The Tonight Show was always one of those. I would be on with like, Walter Cronkite or you name it. So one night I'm booked. Dick Cheney is the other guest, right? So I don't even know this. I have Dick Cheney jokes like ready to go because that's what I do, right? I have to stay current with all my props and my jokes. So I had already had like 5 or 6 Dick Cheney jokes and they were all funny. I get there to rehearse and I start rehearsing my jokes and everybody thinks it's the funniest thing ever because I have all these Dick Cheney jokes and Dick Cheney's on the show. And I'm like, wait, he's on the show? And they said, yeah. I said, oh, no one told me that. Oh, I thought you made all these because you knew he was coming. And I said, no, I have all these because it's the most topical thing. It was Dick Cheney. And it's right after he had that incident where, kind of an accident where he shot his buddy hunting. And there was so many, he's been in the hospital for heart attack. Anyway, so I said to Jay, I said, is he gonna stay around and be there for when I go on? And he's like, well, what do you want? You want to be around? You don't want to be around. I said, well, I don't know. You tell me what's better. Is he sitting there or he's not there? Because it's going to be awkward because I'm doing jokes. But as a comic, that's what we want. We want awkward. We want really uneasy uptightness. So I thought, yeah, if you could get him to stay, I think that would be great. And Jay's like, yeah, something like that. So he leans over at the end and Dick Cheney gets done and he says, hey, you want to hang around for Carrot Top? And of course, Dick Cheney's like, what's a Carrot Top? Sure, I'll hang around for Carrot Top. So I'm back in the wings and Jay comes and says, okay, he's staying. I was like, oh, fuck. So they said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carrot Top. And I come out and I'm like, Mr. Cheney, Jay, and I just go right in to the first Dick Cheney joke. And it was a rifle that had a curved thing because he shot his friend. So I said, have you seen Dick Cheney's? I found your gun, and it was a gun with this big, curved. So automatically, oh my God! Not only is it kill, but it's like an awkward. It's an awkward kill. People are going crazy, but they're also looking at Dick Cheney, and that camera zooms in on Dick Cheney. He's like, So now I'm like, I can see it in the monitor. I can see they're zooming in on him, and the crowd's like uneasy. So I said, I have more. We have more Dick Cheney jokes. So I did the Operation game. It was an Operation game called Operation that had this little pencil thing, and it was a little like magnet thing. You had to go in and get the little like bone out or the whatever operation, and when you do it, it'd go. So I said, it was the Dick Cheney Operation game. I didn't even need to do the buzzer. It was just the fact his head was on the Operation game, and I think, oh my God, I must have done 6 or 7 Dick Cheney jokes, and it went great. I just remember the crowd was like, oh my God, like what a risk taker this guy is. And then when I got done, I looked over to see if it was cool if I walked over and shook his hand because I had just shit on him for like live television. And he was smiling and clapping, and Jay come over and shook his hand and went to commercial break, and he leaned over and says, where did you find all that stuff? And I said, I made it. And he said, what do you mean you made it? And I said, this is what I do. I make this. He said, like for a living? I said, yeah, for a living. This is what I do. I build Dick Cheney jokes and stuff. And he was so fascinated by the fact that I had made all these props and come up with these little clever things to rip on him. And then he said, so you did that just because I was here? And I said, no, I do it every night in the show. And he was like, oh. And then after the show, I said, is it cool if I get a picture? And he said, sure. And then when we went back to take a picture, Secret Service came in and basically, that's not happening. You do know it's not happening. And then I was like, Mr. Cheney? And he said, yeah. And he moved the Secret Service out of the way. I still have the picture. Nice big grin. Great picture. I think I was even biting his tie. I said, is it okay if I bite your tie? That was a fun Tonight Show. I remember all my friends calling me like, was that real? And I'm like, yeah, it was real. Yeah. And then I was audited the next day. Fuck. They're still after me. I love my job.